Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Mann Travels this morning. I'm going to give it a few more minutes to see if we have any additional guests that are wanting to join. So just to go over just a few housekeeping items with Zoom, we do keep all of the guests muted and your cameras are turned off. At the end of the presentation, the chat feature will be opened. If you feel like you have a question about anything, please use the chat feature and we will address those. So for the time being, I think I'm going to give it just another minute, and then we'll go ahead and start our presentation with Micato Safaris. Pamela Foster is with us today representing this brand. And she is actually going to talk about the sights and sounds of Africa. And I'm not going to keep these lovely people who are on time waiting any longer, Pamela. So if you want to go ahead and take off, it's all yours.
Wonderful. Well, Jambo, welcome to Africa with Micato Safaris. And on the screen, you have a photograph of myself. This is the last time I was in Kenya. Behind me, you see two big fellas. They are the rhinos. They're not as close as the picture depicts, believe me. I was a little cautious about sitting there, but nevertheless, I was back in Africa about a year ago. I have been in Africa almost upwards of 60 times, so I'm very passionate about getting people to go and see Africa. Now, currently, I know we're all very tired from this pandemic. In fact, we're exhausted, but it's now that you should be planning to get out and do things for next year or even 2022. We are finding that everyone that missed their bucket list trip to Africa this year have already rebooked for 2021. So space is starting to get tight. And I'll talk to you a little bit about that later in the presentation. So this would be the exact time to look ahead and make a plan to travel in 8 to 12 months or even a bit further out into Africa. You know, we all want to socially distance at the moment, and Africa is the ideal place. If you see any online articles, you'll know that Africa's in the top 10 destinations for 2021. Some of the articles are actually saying you should go on safari in Kenya. And why? Well, you've got it on the screen. Wide open spaces. You can have a lifetime experience in Africa. You get up close to the wildlife, but yet you can have that feeling of being out in Africa alone. You can be surrounded by the wildlife, but alone in Africa. And you have wonderful cultural interactions with the people there. So on the screen at the moment, we have an Africa map. And as you can see, the United States fits into Africa 3 times. There are 55 countries in Africa. And I just want to point out that COVID is very low in Africa. About 5% of all the cases are across these 55 countries. So COVID is not a problem. We've dealt with pandemics in the past, like Ebola, and countries know how to close down, manage it, and we do have westernized hospitals and medical supplies as well. So we are open. Rwanda, Kenya, Tanzania are open for tourists right now and moving forward. Southern Africa and South Africa a little bit behind, so possibly in September, October, you'll see them opening as well. We have our first guests flying out to Kenya on the 7th of September. So we're moving along. So I wanted to take you on a day on safari and make sure that you understand what you do when you're on safari. And so I'm going to move on and use Kenya as the example. I'm going to use a tented camp because that's my favorite. And your days are long. So very first, at the break of dawn, you're going to have someone do a wake-up call with you. Outside your tent, someone's going to call, Jambo, Jambo, that's the wake-up call. And they bring a hot beverage and some sort of breakfast biscuit for you to eat. This is not breakfast. They just want you to get out of bed, gather your things, and head for your vehicles. Now, your first game drive will start just after dawn. Depending what time of year you're traveling, depends what time you leave the camp. And this is the best time to be out there. You'll be gone from your camp about 3 hours. And why is it a good time? Animals are just like us. We need water and we need food. So the whole wildlife kingdom comes alive. And you'll be with your guide in search of the wildlife. You will see a lot of animals, a lot of different breeds. It's not only educational. I know everyone thinks a zebra is a zebra. Well, not so much. There are different breeds. Even the giraffe isn't just a giraffe. The brick pattern identifies the breed. So you can be out there in amongst herds of hundreds of wildebeest, or just sitting next to the lone giraffe. You will get very close. You'll have great photography, and you will have that feeling of tranquility. The open plains in East Africa give you that feeling of vastness, openness, and serenity. And it's wonderful to stop halfway through and have a cup of coffee, chat about what's going on, and then keep going. The excitement of Africa is really about not knowing what you're about to see. You really don't know when you come around a tree whether the elephant is standing right there in front of you. You don't know if the lion pride is on the hunt. So every morning is completely different. You proceed on and then return to your camp for breakfast. It's always a cooked breakfast. And if you're very lucky, the staff at the camp decide to give you what they call a bush breakfast. And you'll come around the corner on the plains of Africa, and there you are. They're cooking your breakfast over open flame in the middle of Africa. How cool is that? So the rest of the time, or the rest of the morning, is spent around the camp. You could just sit in your camp and watch Africa. Or you might want to take what is most popular activity is the bushwalk, where you go out with a local guide walking in Africa. It's easy, takes you out of the camp for about an hour, and you see all the things that you don't see from a vehicle. There are many activities from different camps. It really depends where your camp is located as to whether you can do mountain bike riding, horseback riding, other activities. But the most popular is going for a walk. A lot of you may want to book the extra balloon ride. Again, wonderful experience, gliding across the plains of Africa at treetops. So this would take place at the same time the morning game drive would be on. So just understand that you either go on the balloon ride or you do the game drive. You can't do both at the same time. Lunch is always at your camp. The food is fantastic. Every camp has a chef. Everything is baked on site. They have their own vegetable gardens, their own herb gardens, and the food is fabulous. You will put on weight when you're there. It's a sit-down meal. And after lunch, you have still a little bit of time before the second game drive. Most camps have swimming pools, and most people take a dip around the lunch hour. Sometimes you just stay near your camp and watch the wildlife. Many camps have a masseuse. Many camps have a spa. Some even have gym rooms. So there are a lot of options to fill in a couple of hours. Personally, I go and take a nap, because I'm waiting for the second game drive when I'm going to go back out into the Africa plains. They'll call you for afternoon tea. It's kind of English style, but of course you can have coffee or cold drinks and all the baked goods that your chef has prepared for the day. It's gathering. You gather for that second game drive. So again, you're going to be gone from your camp for about 3 hours. So please remember to take everything that you need with you into the vehicles, because you won't come back until very late afternoon or early evening. And what you do on the second game drive is you're in search, quite often in the same area you were in the morning, but maybe you didn't see a leopard. So maybe your guide is tracking for a leopard. Maybe you didn't see a cheetah. Maybe you have requested to go and look for elephants. Whatever that is, you'll be out there doing that, and once again enjoying the plains of Africa. When it gets late afternoon, what they do is they stop and they have sundowners. They usually pick a nice escarpment so you can stare out across the plains, or in a large clearing, and they stop to have what I call happy hour in the bush. And you watch the sun slowly go down over Africa. And then after you've had your sundowners, you usually do a short game drive, but most of you don't realize how many miles you've covered from that camp. So you're usually game viewing as you're trying to get back to your camp for the evening. And you will spot game all the way. And why I say you'll be out of your camp about 3 hours on each game drive is because you don't know what's happening. If you're seeing a baby lion or something being born, you want to stay. And there's no set rule that you have to stay 2.5 hours or 3 hours. It's what's happening and what you want to do. Dinner is always in your camp. Usually they rotate. One evening will be inside, one evening will be out under the Africa sky. I think going forward, a lot of camps are finding a lot of different areas to dine outside under the Africa nighttime, and you end your day always around the campfire. You have a nightcap or something. This is where the stories of the day get really tall. You know, the lion that was outside the vehicle suddenly is inside your vehicle. People dine out on these stories for years and years and years. But the day is very long. And at this point, I head for my tent and to get some sleep, because the next day you will be out on safari again. And in East Africa, you'll do 2 game drives a day, the same as any other safari destination. So let me talk about a question I get all the time. People say, where do you think I should go in Africa? So I thought I'd talk a little bit about the differences between East Africa and Southern Africa. So here in East Africa, obviously the iconic destination Kenya stands out, and some people choose to do Kenya and Tanzania. We take guests to both, and then we also can add on Rwanda for that really life-changing moment of trekking to the mountain gorillas. So when should you go? Well, peak season is really the dry winter months, June through early October. And that's when the temperatures are moderate and there's no rain. And that means all the wildlife have to find water. And if you can get to a river or your camp is on a watering hole, you're going to see a lot of wildlife. Other times of the year is early. January through March is a great time. It's a prime season. A lot of babies being born at that time of the year. And a lot of people want to go away for Christmas and New Year, and they go at that time. In East Africa, you see the iconic scenery of the acacia trees dotting the horizon. This is the land where the movies come. Out of Africa, Born Free, Lion King. If you can imagine seeing all those scenes, that's East Africa. It's where you see huge herds of animals, large pride of lions, large herds of elephants, and you can see for miles. It is home of the tented camp. Nowadays, a tented camp is basically a luxury room which has some canvas. So you have all your creature comforts as well as the ensuite bathroom flush toilet. And this is what I like to do. I like to be in the smaller tented camps in Africa. And as I said, we can add on that iconic trekking to see the mountain gorillas in Rwanda if that's what you would like to do. It's an opportunity. A lot of you speak to me about East Africa, and the first thing you ask about is the migration. You've seen a lot of movies on TV about river crossings and seen thousands and thousands of wildebeest clamoring to get across the rivers between Tanzania and Kenya. Please understand that it is mainly the wildebeest that migrate. You know, lions don't move, cheetahs don't move, elephants don't migrate. It's basically the wildebeest, about 1.5 million on the move. It is a complete circle of life. Generally, they start gathering late May, start heading north on the Serengeti towards Kenya in June sometime. Sometimes they cross in early July into Kenya. They stay in Kenya till about mid-October. But no one can guarantee that you're going to see a river crossing, because if Tanzania has a drought, the wildebeest will move very quickly up the Serengeti to try and get to the Masai Mara for food. So I have been around when they have crossed in early June. I have been there when they haven't crossed till late July. So what I say to people is, please understand that you should be going to see the greatest wildlife show on earth, which includes zebras, giraffes, lions, leopards. You want to see it all. And if you're there at that moment when the herds are crossing the rivers, we'll make sure you see it. But don't just plan your trip to see the wildebeest alone. Now, Southern Africa is completely different. It's half a continent away. The topography is completely different as well. So in Southern Africa, we take guests, obviously, first timers into South Africa, which is the iconic destination here, but also to Botswana for the Okavango Delta, and into Zimbabwe and Namibia, and we go into Zambia for Victoria Falls. But here I'm just going to speak about the destination, South Africa. So your game viewing is in the greater Kruger area in the northern part of the country. And your game viewing time, your peak season, is exactly the same as East Africa. It is the dry winter months. Now, 1,200 miles away, you have Cape Town at the bottom of Africa. They have a Mediterranean climate. So if you were to travel into South Africa in winter and you go in July or August, you'll have great game viewing and it'll be wet, windy and cold in Cape Town. So something to remember when you're talking about South Africa is, when should I go? Well, prime game viewing is that June-September window. However, because you want to experience Cape Town, it's best to go maybe on the shoulder seasons. So you get good weather in the Cape and great game viewing. Or maybe you want to go in spring and fall. Again, good game viewing, great weather in the Cape. So just remember the size of the country and location is very important. Now, we're in East Africa. The majority of your time is spent going from safari camp to safari camp, or going from Kenya to Tanzania to a safari camp. In Southern Africa, you have a mixture. You, in Cape Town, can go out to the winelands. You can have a city experience in Cape Town, climb to the top of Table Mountain, see whales and penguins, go out to a restaurant, and then go and spend maybe 3 or 4 days of the itinerary on safari in the Kruger area. People also like to add on Victoria Falls. So a lot of different activities in Southern Africa, and the wildlife do not migrate, and you will not see the large herds. You will see a lot of animals and you will see the big five, but you will not see the pride of lions as large as you will see up in East Africa. For those that have traveled a bit, they might want to do game viewing in Botswana and South Africa together. And for those that have been there, maybe second time, third time visitor, Botswana and Zimbabwe is resonating. You can do a tented camp inside Zimbabwe and see game there as well. So basically the difference are, when you go to East Africa, you're on the vast plains of Africa with large herds, and the majority of your time is wildlife, game viewing. And yes, you have wonderful mix of cultural, tribal interaction. In Southern Africa, you can have the safari experience probably for 3 or 4 days. You can have that city as well as that safari experience. So it's a very mixed experience, and the landscapes are completely different. So best time to go, just to recap, you can go anytime to East Africa. We'll always have great game viewing. Please don't come in April. That's all I can say. Avoid April for East Africa. South Africa, same thing. The game does not migrate, so you can have year round. But remember, it's a large country, and that weather in Cape Town does have a winter. Botswana, because of the Okavango Delta, stick to the season. You want the Okavango Delta flowing. So let me talk a little bit about Micato and the ways that we design things for you. There are 3 ways to travel into Africa with us. We do a luxury customized itinerary, which means blank page. And usually people that like us to custom build, they don't want to stay in one area for 2 nights, 2 nights, 2 nights. They want 4 nights here. They come with very specific needs and wants and wishes. And we design it from scratch. And yes, it's very important to get those little moments in there for your family, and that's what we do. The next thing is to join a small scheduled group departure. We have 10 itineraries in our brochure, and we guarantee, once countries are open, we guarantee we will not cancel on you. So if everyone else cancels off the group, you're still going. We will take you on that safari that you wanted. So in East Africa, we have up to 18 people on a small group. In Southern Africa, we have up to 12. And going forward, although we used to put 6 people in a vehicle, we are complying with the World Health Organization, and we will now only have 4 people to a vehicle. So we have our own vehicles. Usually they're 9-seaters, but we used to take 6 people so everyone could have room for all their stuff, and they'd also have that window. Now we will have 4 in a vehicle, so there'll be a few more vehicles going with you. And we keep the group size small. We want our safari directors to have a personal relationship with every single person in the group. Some of our competitors have a small group at 28 or 32 people, and it's very hard to make it very personalized to you in a group that size. Also, going forward, while we have COVID, we have changed the deposit situation from requiring 20%. We realize everyone wants to be a little bit more flexible, so we're just asking a $500 deposit per person to hold space. And I should advise you that 2021 is filling up very fast. We are already on the hunt for space for people to go in 2021. So we are taking bookings for 2021 as well as 2022. So if you're thinking about it, please talk to someone at Mann Travels and get your booking in place. The third option is very popular. If you have a family and you're traveling with them, if you have a small group of friends, we're able to make one of those small group itineraries private to you, which means you're basically having a private safari with a private guide, private vehicles. We can even upcharge a little bit more and give you private charter flights between the regions that you're going to. So that's an option for a lot of people. We do a ton of families, a ton of intergenerational families as well. And they love having space. They just don't want other people on the same group departure as themselves. So we have some options for you. So why am I asking you to look at Micato? I could go on and on and on about all the awards we've won. I don't want to. We've been 9 times winner of Travel and Leisure. We're the only tour operator in their Hall of Fame. We've won awards for the last 50 years. All you need to know is that we're going to give you the safari that you want, and you're going to come back with lifetime memories to share with everyone around you. We have a policy in our company. We take care of every detail, so that you have a stressful, or I shouldn't say stressful, I should say stressless, a safari. Wonderful African expression, Hakuna Matata. It means no worries. And that's what we try to do. You will be in our hands. We have about 200 full-time employees in Africa. We have a team of the most credentialed safari directors to help you and put that little magic in the trip for you. As I mentioned with our vehicles, we'll be only having 4 people to a vehicle. All our drivers are mechanics. So we are ready for everything that you may experience. We have a wonderful team, a concierge 24/7 team. And this is the team that takes care of those details. How many of you have arrived in a country and the bag hasn't arrived with you? That's the first situation. And you go to your first stop, and all you do is spend the night trying to phone the airline to find out where the luggage is and when you're going to get it, and you're moving, and etc., etc. So our concierge team is there to take care of that. Biggest situations they have is people arriving without prescription meds, and they deal with things like, I broke my glasses, my camera needs batteries, and I love the one where the person has brought that 6-foot wooden giraffe and now needs it wrapped and sent home. So we deal with all of that, so you don't have to deal with it. Yes, we're the company that gives you a lot of things, a lot of gifts before you go, including the safari bag. I can almost hear the ladies sighing. It does hold 33 to 34 pounds, but the good thing is we pay for the laundry all the way. So you really don't need a ton of clothes. You need to pack into the safari bag, and the reason we do this is all those small flights between the camps and regions. They are very weight restrictive, and that's why we need you to use our bag. But that's okay. You can wash your clothes every single day. So what should I wear out there? Bright colors, not much. Usually if you wear something bright like red, especially in East Africa, the animals are aware of the Maasai tribe and they used to hunt lions, so they shy away from you immediately. We don't allow camouflage, but kind of neutral colors is just fine. You don't need to go out and buy a completely new wardrobe to go. Medically, your CDC asks you to take anti-malaria tablets. There's only about 2 countries at the moment that need yellow fever. And at the moment, countries are requiring the COVID-19 certificate before arrival. Depending what country you're traveling to, we would give you that information so you can get it. It's usually, for Kenya, it's 96 hours before arrival, and every other country is different as well. As we move forward, you'll have a vaccine. We include all gratuities, big and small, it doesn't matter what it is. Airport porter, girl serving breakfast, the big tips for our guides as you leave them at the airport going home. It's all in there. How many trips have you done and the first thing you've arrived wanted an ATM or a bank? Because you know you have to start tipping people on a daily basis. It can be very difficult in Africa when you're out there going camp to camp. There are no ATMs. So everyone knows you're carrying a lot of cash on you. We don't want you to worry about things like that. We just want you to have a great time in Africa. We include all your meals in the cities as well as all the lodges. And yes, you're allowed to have regional wine and beer with your meals as well. If you have dietary problems, you can deal with it. The chefs in the camps nowadays can deal with anything from gluten-free, salt-free, diabetic, whatever your needs are. Our safari director will discuss it with the camps ahead of time and make sure it's done to whatever you need. We are one of the top luxury safari companies. We don't own any lodges or any hotels, anything like that. We wanted options. We want to be able to choose the location of the camp for you. We use tented camps, something like this, all with the mod cons, all with your creature comforts. We use large lodges, we use country houses, wine estates, city hotels, small city hotels. Whatever the need or location is, we do it. And a lot of the camps are chosen for location. People say, why? You can see animals anywhere. Well, yes, but if you have a 5 a.m. balloon ride, it's better to be half an hour away from the balloon launch site than 2 hours away. So all those little details are in our hands to make sure it works smoothly. And you really just want to open those curtains and see the elephant outside your room. We deal with a lot of families, a lot of intergenerational families, and a lot of them are asking us, can they get exclusivity? Can we take over a bush retreat or a bush villa? Yes, we have a lot of relationships with these kind of properties. And this one on the screen happens to be in South Africa. It's called Cheetah Plains. It has 4 ensuite bedrooms, chef, butler, house staff, own swimming pool, own vehicle, and own guide. So we can do complete separation if we need to. Everything's personal with us. We are family-owned, family-run. And on the screen is Jane and Felix Pinto. Felix is about 94 years old at the moment. And since they started this company back in the 60s, they've always invited people coming into Nairobi to their home for a meal. And they still do it to this very day. So you can imagine for the last 50 years, 5 or 6 days a week, you have guests for dinner. But we love it. It's a highlight of every visit into Nairobi. They're very sociable, and people want those little memories. They want to talk to people that are born in the country and know everyone and can get things done for them. We know that traveling the world brings everyone closer together, and that's what we want to do. We want to make the world smaller, not larger. And why Micato's out there is we change lives of children. This is a commitment for many, many years, nothing new here. So for every one of you that decides to travel with Micato into Africa, we have committed educating a child from the start of school to graduating high school. We have a community center in the middle of one of the largest slums in Nairobi. And we have computer rooms, libraries, rooms for women's meetings and school children and preschoolers. And at the moment, obviously the schools are closed, but if you spend any time in Nairobi, we try to help you come down to the community center and see what is happening. And as I mentioned, the children have libraries and computer rooms and everything like that. At the moment, they're in the slum. Our teachers are going hut to hut to educate the children. And what we did find out is that a lot of the families were starving because no work, no money, no food. And so what we have been doing through the pandemic is actually made a contract with a local grocery store, and we've been taking monthly supplies of foods into all the children's families that we sponsor and helping out. We have a second nonprofit to help young girls, and they make reusable monthly supplies for the young girls. Our teams normally go out across Africa into all the villages supplying and doing sex education for young girls. And again, during the slum, the factory where we employ women to make all these supplies, half of it is now converted into making quality masks for everyone. And because lodges and hotels realized we were making masks, they started purchasing them. And we've been able to give away about 80,000 masks in the slum to the children and the people. In Kenya, it is law. You must wear a mask outside. If they catch you, the police will fine you instantly. So that is why COVID is just about non-existent in Kenya. In South Africa, we started a couple of years ago, Red Hill, a community centre just outside Cape Town, and doing similar work. We're here to give you the most amazing experience we can. You'll see incredible scenery no matter where you go in Africa, and we will get you up close to that wildlife. And sometimes you wonder who's looking at who, but nevertheless, it will be a life-changing experience. And you will help us educate children, and that's the only way they're going to have a better life. And I want to thank you up front for thinking about traveling into Africa with us. And I'm going to hand you back to Billy, who's going to talk to you for a moment.
Absolutely. Pamela, thank you so much. And I don't know about you, the people that are watching this, I can listen to Pamela talk all day about Africa. And Micato, what a great company she has and they have and that she works for. I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to any questions you may have via the chat feature. And while you do that, if you do have any questions, please share. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen to let everybody know how you can reach us, either via our website, our 1-800 number. We do have a dedicated vacations@manntravels.com email address. So please feel free to reach out to any one of our specialized agents. If you currently have one, you have their email address. And as Pamela was saying, they're currently offering a reduced deposit. So plan now with Mann Travels. By planning now, we are offering a Visa gift card for any new bookings. So please contact us today. Again, we really would love for you to plan now with Mann Travels and travel later. So again, Pamela, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you for everybody who joined us this morning. Get in touch with us. Have a great day and thank you.
Yeah. Asante sana. Go well.
Asante.
Thank you.
Thank you.